I'm Aiman, and welcome back to another one of my auto repair videos. This is another video in the series of trying to figure out what's wrong with Nofis's AC system in his Honda Insight Generation 2, but this applies to a lot of other cars. And so in our last video, we ran the pressure test to find out that there was a leak in the system. And if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. But basically we found out that the high pressure side was holding pressure, but the low pressure side wasn't. And so that means that there's a leak somewhere from his evaporator to the compressor. Now we just gotta find where that leak is. And so in order to do that, we're going to be using this UV dye. And the way it works is you put in the UV dye and you put in refrigerant and you cycle it through by turning on the AC. But at the same time, we also want to try using this halogen leak detector. However, this one only works with the engine off and the AC system holding pressure. So after we use the UV dye, after we inject it in and inject the refrigerant, then we're going to use the leak detector. Alright, so we're going to put some UV dye into our system. The way it works is we're going to insert it through our manifold gauge set. And if you don't have a manifold gauge set like we do, then you can use one of those injector hoses that basically has a reservoir for the UV dye to insert into. And that also connects to the refrigerant so that you can insert them at the same time. In our case, what we're going to do is we're going to close the high pressure side of the system. It's already closed. And we're going to insert the UV dye first. And then we're going to screw in the refrigerant and hook it up into here. Now, the thing is, there's currently air inside of these hoses, and we need to bleed that out. And what I've seen is that a lot of people usually put the UV dye in this hose. But at the midpoint, you can see that there's this bleeder valve. And if we use this bleeder valve while the UV dye is in the yellow hose, some of that UV dye is going to come out here. And so me and my dad thought, okay, why don't we just put the UV dye in this blue hose so that it doesn't shoot out when you use the bleeder valve. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unscrew it from here, put it in, screw it back on, and then screw in the refrigerant and cycle it through. Okay, if you want to get some of this UV dye for yourself, you can buy it pretty much anywhere. We'll link it in the description down below if you're interested in buying it. But let's open this up. Okay. And we're going to put in about 1/4 of an ounce, so just a bit below this 3/4 mark. I do have a bit of shaky hands, so just bear with me here. I'll just puncture it. Okay. All right. Let's pour some in. Yeah, it's gonna be a bit slow. So two things. I mean, first off, you want to make sure you're wearing gloves during this. Now, personally, I don't care about my hands getting dirty. Not sure how you clean UV dye, but I'm sure it's easy to wash off in some way. But for best practice, you should just wear gloves if you don't want your hands to get dirty. Second off, probably what's more concerning is you don't want this dye to get into your eyes. So just make sure you wear some goggles for protection, or eyeglasses like I have. And also, you want to make sure that you fill your hose away from the engine bay, just so you don't drip any over the engine and get false readings. Come on. Go through. Okay. Well, that's not exactly 1/4, but come on, air bubble. There we go. Alright, this should do it. Okay, so we're going to screw this back in. Make sure you do it away from the engine bay, just so you don't drip anything. Alright, and now we should be good to go to put our refrigerant in. Okay, so now that we've wiped this clean, just so there's no false positives, we're just going to make sure this is closed, to make sure this is open. Bring it back up, connect our refrigerant, and turn the engine on. Okay, so we add an adapter so that we can hook up our refrigerant since this is a self-sealing refrigerant, we need another adapter. Put that on. And since this is self-sealing, we put it in when it's open. It should only flow while it's closed. Okay. Okay, so we've already bled it. Now we're going to open up both sides, and then we'll turn on the engine. Check if this is going through. This should be getting cold. It is getting cold. And yeah, we're just going to stay here for like 5 to 10 minutes and let it recharge. And you can tell that the compressor is working because the compressor is engaging. And you can hear the AC fan kicking in, taking the hot air from the condenser, moving it out. Seems like everything's going fine so far. Okay, so we're using our temperature probe on our multimeter. And right now, it doesn't feel, at least this one doesn't feel like it's AC cold to me right now, but this one feels a bit colder, and it's actually exactly 62 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about what we were expecting, like low 60s, high 50s. So that means that so far it looks like it's going good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to let the engine run for about half an hour, and at that point then we'll turn it off, and we'll use the halogen leak detector. Now, according to the manual for this, it says that it needs a pressure of 50 psi, which looks like we're about 60. It doesn't need to run. Actually, the leak detector doesn't need the engine to run for 30 minutes, but we need it to run for 30 minutes just so that the UV dye cycles through the entire system. And so while we do this, it's important that the pressure of the system remains above 50 psi. And so to be safe, we turn it off. Oh, right now it's at like 90. So maybe it's gonna be okay. Oh,